these are 10 books every realtor needs to read in 2024. But not only that, most of these you probably haven't heard of before. So I'm going to not only give you the books and link all of them in the description below, but also I'm going to explain why you need to read this book and who specifically that the book is for. What's up, guys? My name is Mike Sherrard with eXp Realty. I train thousands of agents every year, and books are so powerful. If you're not growing, if you're not learning, you're dying. And this is one of the easiest ways to continue to level up your business. And oftentimes a single book can be the solution to anything that you're struggling with, which is why it's so important to make reading a priority. So I'm just gonna jump right in. I'm super excited about a bunch of these. I've got one of them here in front of me. I've got all of the other ones kind of in my background, so I'm not gonna pull up a huge stack of 10 books, but let me break down each one of them. Okay, so the first one is 177 Mental Toughness Secrets of the World Class. One of my favorite books of all time. It's so consumable, but it's so powerful. Very, very easy read, but essentially the author is a guy that has been the performance coach to some of the greatest athletes of all time, the best of the best, the Tom Brady's, the Kobe's, the elite. And what he does is he breaks down basically one or two per page, a scenario. And he says, here's how the average would approach this scenario. Here's how the world class would approach this scenario. So when it comes to mindset being the number one reason why agents fail, despite what anybody tells you, it's not because agents don't have the right tips, tricks, tutorials, or strategies. It's a mindset issue. This is the best book to just browse through. It is so easy. Again, 2 of them per page on average, so you can just rip through it, but it'll start to get you in the perspective and shift your perspective of, are you average or are you world class? And if you want to build momentum, you need to be world class. And it's a really great book to just give real examples of what the average would do and what you should be doing if you want to crush. Okay, book number 2 is a really important one. It's one that I recently read, which is Buy Back Your Time. Now, this book is life-changing. So powerful. Essentially what this is the concept of buying your time back, which is how to actually build a real business. You see, one of my issues personally was that I was running everything. I was doing email, calendar management, project management, managing all of my different VAs and full-time employees and all of my freelancers, everybody. And I was sucked in doing activities that were not only below my pay grade, but also that were not my passion. And you start to lose your passion when you're in a position where you can afford to outsource, but you don't quite know how to do it. So if you feel like you're strapped for time and you don't know how to create a team or get additional support or how to actually build a business that will run without you, this is the book you need to get. Number 3 is one by an entrepreneur that you likely follow, which is The Power of One More. This is by Ed Mylett, and it's really powerful because ultimately it's just the concept of doing one more of everything. Yes, he talks about being the one and the power of being the one that changes your family's life forever, which is really good for mindset. If you feel like giving up or if you're struggling, becoming the one that changes your family's financial trajectory forever. But what I love is that concept of just one more, of saying, okay, I'm gonna call 100 people today, call one more. I'm going to follow up with 10 people today. Follow up with one more. I'm gonna go to the gym and I'm gonna do 10 reps, do 11. I'm gonna drink 1 gallon of water, drink 1 more. And if you could start to get these little aspects of extra growth, it really puts you in the mindset of being an overachiever. And it's a really great read just based on Ed's tonality and style. And I've had the pleasure of meeting him and spending one-on-one time with him. But I highly recommend this book because it's gonna give you that extra edge against any other agent. Number 4, which is Never Split the Difference. Communication is the number one skill agents need in order to build a successful business. It's the top skill in real estate, bar none. And this is a great book because it talks all about communication and strategic negotiating in terms of like never split the difference when you're negotiating. This is actually how I exceeded the expectations of a lot of past clients and got a lot of referrals. Is in my market, keep in mind, it was terrible. Every home was selling under list price. So let's say a home was listed for $500,000. Somebody came in with an offer at $480,000. Everybody would just say, hey, let's meet in the middle, $490,000, good to go, everybody's happy. But I wouldn't take that avenue. What I would do is understand that I want to treat other people's money like it's my own money. If I save my clients an extra $1,500 in my city, that covers legal fees. if I could save them an extra $2,000, that covers moving costs. And I never split the difference, which not only is a good practice when it comes to increasing your negotiation skills, but it's also just a really great way to impress your clients. Number 5, one of the greatest of all times, Atomic Habits. You don't achieve your goals, you achieve your habits. And ultimately, a lot of people will set out January and say, this year I'm gonna crush 24 deals. But if your habits are inconsistent, instant gratification, you're not disciplined, and you have all these bad habits, you could say you want to do 100 deals or 2 deals, you're not going to do anything, right? So at the end of the day, you really need to focus on changing your habits, because your habits are the root and the foundation of your execution. So you can say you want all these amazing things out of life, but nobody's coming to save you. And if you don't change your habits, you'll never get there. So many people say if you just keep going for years and years and years, you'll just get there. Well, if you do the wrong thing for years and years and years, you'll be exactly where you are today in years from now. So this book is an absolute must for everybody. If you haven't read it yet, you probably have, but if you haven't, get on it now. That's pretty much a perfect segue into book number 6, which is 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Very similar, but again, it breaks down the habits of people that win. And so Atomic Habits is really great for changing your habits. And then this book is good about introducing the ones and knowing the ones that you need to adopt. So if you can start to change your habits, even just one a month, you will be in a completely different place in your life. But the one thing that a lot of people struggle with is they're not where they want to be in business, and they start looking for the next tip, the next trick, the next platform, the next strategy, the next golden nugget, but they don't change the root cause of why they are where they are. And if you do that, which is your habits, everything else will change completely. Book number 7, one that came out pretty recently, depending on when you're watching this, is $100 Million Leads. So Alex Hormozi, incredible. You probably follow him. I was following him back when he had like 15,000 subscribers and nobody really knew him, and he's absolutely taken the world by storm, especially in the content space. Now, he had $100 million offers, which is great, but more so for the people like me that are kind of in the online marketing space, if you will. But for realtors, $100 Million Leads, which I have right over there, 3 copies actually, is an absolutely amazing book. Because as you know, real estate is all about lead generation, and this book is all about building effective lead generation and exploring the various avenues of how you could do so. A lot of people, especially brokers or different coaches, will tell you that there's only one way that's the best of generating leads. And some people, especially I see YouTubers saying YouTube's the best and only way. YouTube's great, but it's not for everybody. And there's all kinds of effective strategies, and ultimately, if you're wildly successful at any of them, you will be successful. Doesn't matter which one. There's not one right answer. The right answer is the one you will consistently do and improve on year over year over year. But this is an incredible book that is a must read, because lead generation is the foundation of our entire business. And if you're not where you want to be in terms of the number of deals that you want, well, usually the cause of that is you don't have enough leads. Book number 8, the E-Myth. One of the biggest concepts from this is starting with the end in mind. So if you want to build a 7-figure per year real estate business, you need to start acting like a 7-figure per year realtor. If you want to break 6 figures, your income is a direct reflection of who you've become as a realtor or as an entrepreneur. So if you're making 50K, it's because you're a 50K realtor. And that's just the truth. Not many people want to hear it, but it's a fact. If you want to make 100K, you need to become the type of person that would make 100,000. And the E-Myth is a really, really great, iconic, legendary book. I highly recommend it based on the different stories and scenarios it maps out, because it's really going to shift your mind of how you need to change in order to achieve the goals and the income that you likely have. Number 9, before getting into one of my favorites that you probably have not read, but number 9 is Good to Great. You see, a lot of people are good. And a lot of people are getting by. They do their 6-10 deals a year, and they're just pretty good. But some of you want to become great. You want to break 7 figures. You want to make a massive impact. You want to change massive amounts of lives, and you want to be recognized. Good to Great is an incredible book. You see, for example, you look at the NBA. There's really, really good players that are on the bench. Then there's LeBron James and Steph Curry. Massive difference between the good and the great. And a lot of people want to become great, but they don't know the difference between good and great, so they end up falling back and settling for good. So this is a really great book that I highly recommend you reading. And number 10, bringing it full circle in a major way, is Influence, the Psychology of Persuasion. This is by an author that I met a couple of times now, Robert Cialdini, and it is an unbelievable book. So I talked about communication being the number one skill set you need as a realtor, which is the truth. But to be able to influence people and persuade people psychologically is where you win the game. That's when you win every listing presentation, every buyer's presentation, your leads convert higher, your nurturing sequence crush, your drip camp, like everything you do. That's where you get to the scenario where you hear people, it's like everything you touch turns to gold. You start to put out videos, they do well. You go to listing presentations, you always win it. You get every list, like that is influence. That's persuasion. And if you can persuade people to do whatever you want, you basically become the most powerful person in the industry. So those are 10 books that I highly encourage you to read this year. But if you really want to go to the next level, check the next video where it's the habits you need to develop mapped out to build a wildly successful business. The 12 habits you need to break 7 figures a year. I've studied many agents that have broken 7 figures. They all have these 12 habits. So if you want that to be you, check the next video and get ready to change your business and life forever.